What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over this makeup, which is based off of the Greek myth of Icarus, so let's jump right into it. To begin, I am applying foundation with a dry sponge because I want to have a very full coverage without it being cakey. Then I'm going to red some powder over the top of that with a big fluffy brush just to set it all. Now to add some dimension back into my face, I'm just going to go in with some contour powder. This is also kind of going to act like a base layout for the black body paint that we're going to add later on. So with a dense angled brush, I'm contouring beneath my cheekbones, around my forehead, and a little bit on my nose. I'm also going to add it just a little bit under my jaw because I want that to be nice and defined. So off camera, I heated up some Effects Grade Gelatin, which smells horrid, by the way, and I'm just letting it drip down my neck and my chest. Make sure you test the heat before you put it on because you don't want to have to tell people that you burned yourself with gelatin. Then I moved on to making some tears out of that gelatin, and I'm keeping it fairly low away from my eyes. I'm not putting it directly under my waterline because I'm already pretty blind and I don't need to be even more blind. I also just experimented with some different drip locations, so I applied some to my forehead, to my cheeks, and then once the gelatin cools and sets, it's still super sticky. So I'm going over that with some more powder on a fluffy brush. And now, onto the fun part, we get to begin painting. Using black water-activated body paint on a stipple brush, I'm lightly brushing it on the same places I applied the contour before. So I'm starting around the temples and then bringing it down on the forehead into a soft point, kind of like a widow's peak, but a very extreme widow's peak. Ideally, you'd want to work with a much smaller stipple brush if you could, but this is the only one I have, and so I just worked with it. Then I'm bringing the black underneath my cheekbones to create even more contourness. For all of this, make sure that your brush strokes are a lot more dense and concentrated on the outer perimeter of your face, and as it gets closer to the center of your face, it's a lot more feathered. And then whatever paint is left on the brush, I am rubbing it off until there's literally almost zero product on there. And whatever product is left on the brush, I'm basically dry brushing it all over the centermost parts of those black places that we made before. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Basically, this is gonna give it just a really nice, soft, kind of soot-like texture. Now moving on to the eyebrows, I'm filling them in using a medium brown pomade on a small angled brush. And I'm pretty much just letting the brush do all of the work. I'm keeping my grip really loose on it, so it will just be super natural and kind of feathered out. Have you caught a theme yet? Because feathered is the theme. And now starting with the Nyx Epic Ink Liner, we get to go in and work on the eyes. So I'm drawing just a single line out from the corner of my eye. It's basically the same exact line that you would make when you're starting your wing eyeliner, but instead of filling it in, it's just the one line. Now on a flat brush, I'm taking some liner from a black eye crayon and applying that onto the lid, stopping just at the crease and keeping it super tight to that line we drew earlier. Then, using a dense pencil brush, I'm buffing that out on the edges using small circular motions. And you're just going to keep doing that over and over until you get a super smooth transition from the color to your skin. And to help blend it even further, I'm taking this sandy colored eyeshadow and buffing it into the edges of the black, just to make sure there's no harsh lines. And then to set all of that black eyeliner we just blended out, I'm going in with some matte black eyeshadow and packing it on. You want to start small with the amount of shadow and just keep it really concentrated on the lid only and then blend that out. And then if you need to, you can add more. It's super easy for this to get away from you and just end up all over your face where you don't want it. And then go back in with that sandy eyeshadow just once more on a fluffy brush to make sure that the blend is perfect. Switching back to the Epic Ink Liner, I'm going along where a normal wing would usually be and flicking the liner to make small feathery strokes. And then I'm running a little bit of that along my lash line as well. And now to help make the eye just look a little bit more cohesive and put together, I am taking just a touch of that black eyeshadow from earlier and putting it over the top of the liner. Next, to emulate Ash, I am dotting the Epic Ink Liner on my brow bone and then smudging it with a Q-tip before it dries. I'm keeping the dots a lot tighter and closer together. The closer they are to my lid and the further away they are spaced out much more. Then I decided to pull the eyeliner down into the inner corner to make a little point. And because I associate Icarus and the sun with gold, I'm using gold eyeliner for some detail work. So I'm using it on the eyes the same way as I did with the eyeliner. So I'm adding small strokes by the corner of the eye and also dots along my brow bone. I'm also adding it to above and below the inner corner liner. I decided I didn't like the forehead drips, so I peeled those off. And to fill in the blank space it left, while keeping it with that streaky texture, I'm using a stipple sponge with more black body paint on it. And I'm just running that against my skin until I'm happy with how it looks with everything else. Flipping back to the gold liner, I'm also adding strokes and dots of that to the forehead and the cheeks, all in those black areas. And then I decided I also didn't like the drip on the cheek, so I took that one off and filled in the space again using the black body paint on that stipple sponge. And now I am painting the gelatin tears underneath my eyes gold, which looks so freaking cool, by the way. I'm sorry, but I gotta geek out. It looks really dope. Next, I'm filling in my waterline and a bit of the area below it with some black eyeliner. And then I'm running a brush over that line so it blends down and meets with the gold tears. To further meld the gold and black together, I'm adding tiny strokes of gold going upwards, so there's no really definite start point for the tears. So gold flakes, they are way worse than any type of glitter. They will stick to anything and everything. You have been warned. Have a fun time with this. To stick on the gold flakes, I'm first dotting lash glue on the places I want the flakes to be, and then I'm applying the flakes with tweezers. I highly suggest you use tweezers because they will still stick to them, but not as badly as if you were to do it with just your fingers. Trust me, I have dealt with these a lot. I'm using really small flakes for the brow bone so they don't overwhelm the eye. Then I'm just doing the same thing on the forehead, but with slightly larger flakes and keeping them mostly concentrated on the center of the forehead and diffusing them as they get closer to the temples. Next, I am curling my lashes, adding some mascara, and popping on some massive false lashes. Moving on to that neck, chest, shoulder region, I'm going in with that stipple brush in black from earlier and filling in the perimeter of my body. When you put on the wings at the end, this gives such a cool scorched effect. Then I'm going in with some of the black on that stipple sponge and dragging that from the perimeter of my body inwards to get a little bit more of a soot look. And because I felt like it, I streaked some black under my collarbones and slightly blended it out to define them a bit more. And before I finished up the makeup, I popped on a long platinum blonde wig and also these wings, which look so fluffin' cool. These were originally just angel wings that I ordered online, and I painted them brown and black with some watercolor paints to make them look super singed and burned. And then I also ran some gold flakes through the entirety of the wings just so it ties in really well with the makeup. We're flipping back to that gold liner and painting all of the drips on my neck and chest. I also painted some drips onto my shoulder, but I didn't worry about adding gelatin to that and making them three-dimensional since I knew I was gonna really dirty up my shoulders, so I just needed the color to show through. So because the chest is such a big surface area, I don't want to spend 2 hours individually gluing on gold flakes. So instead, I'm spraying hairspray on my chest, and while it's still wet, I'm sticking gold flakes all over it. And I don't know why, but if you're having issues with them not sticking down all of the way, press on them with cork. I don't know why it works, but it just doesn't stick to cork. And now we get to move on to the finishing touches. First, I'm applying a fluff ton of highlighter to my cheekbones, cupid's bow, and collarbones. Then I'm filling in my lips with the NYX Liquid Suede in Alien. I just felt like the neck and chest needed to be darker, so I switched back to that stipple brush and added more black. This part is totally up to you and how scorched you want to be, but I pretty much painted my entire neck black. The very last thing I'm doing is painting my hand because I wanted pictures with a gold and black hand. So I'm painting my fingers gold with that eyeliner, and then the rest of my hand and forearm I am painting black. And where those two colors meet, I am making sure that they transition very smoothly between each other. And that is how you do this Icarus inspired makeup. I really like how it turned out. I think it turned out really good. Hopefully you guys think so too. I will see you guys in the next video. So until then, later.